more than 20 agreements, one UNESCO World Heritage Site restoration project, and a shared vision for the Indo-Pacific. This all unfolded during our Prime Minister's state visit to Indonesia, and this shows that how we are trying to deepen our ties in one of the most influential ASEAN nations. But the main question here is, why specifically Indonesia? Hello everyone, welcome to Vajram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session we are going to understand in detail not just what all happened during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's state visit to Indonesia, but also why this is significant, what India is actually aiming for through this strategic partnership that has been signed, and more around it. So let us begin with understanding that what exactly has happened. So our Prime Minister has been on a state visit to Indonesia, but this is not the only thing that we need to understand. We have to understand that how this state visit has built up from our Republic Day from the last year, where the President of Indonesia came and was the guest of the celebration. Now the building of or the deepening of ties has begun from therein, where India decided to invite them as guests. And when we are looking at this state visit, we have already marked it as an upward trajectory, because this is where Indonesia have signed up a proper comprehensive strategic partnership. Now this was not the only highlight. Multiple things, such as our Prime Minister was the first Prime Minister who addressed the Indonesian Parliament. We talked about the Indo-Pacific vision. We talked about the landmark agreements across sectors to deepen partnership. And of course, we will be discussing that UNESCO World Heritage Site where we are partnering for restoration. Can you tell me in the comment section which heritage site it is? And we will be discussing that in detail in just a bit. So let us begin by understanding why Indonesia is important, because that will give us a better insight into what all has been signed up. So when we are looking at Indonesia, strategically very important. Why? Because it is largest economy that exists in Southeast Asia, and when we are looking at ASEAN nation, it is also an ASEAN leader. Apart from that, we have to look at strategic geography where it is situated as well. When we are looking at Indian and Pacific Ocean, and when we are talking about close proximity with India, when we are looking at Andaman and Nicobar Islands, just 150 kilometers away, we have Indonesia. Furthermore, we also have to look into that how this geography contributes its control to key maritime trade routes, especially when we are talking about Strait of Malacca. In recent sessions of Flash News, we have discussed that how maritime choke points are becoming a new tool of strategic influence, and India would like to partner with the countries who can actually protect another maritime choke point for India. And when we are talking about the strategic significance here itself, we have to take into account how they have been contributing to each other, and the bilateral trade stands at $28.5 billion when we are talking about last year, and this is where we want to take it up a notch as well. Apart from this, we also have a historical foundation, because India recognized Indonesian independence in 1946 itself. We have a shared legacy of Bandung Conference of 1955 and how we have been together in non-aligned movement as well. And then when we are looking at the comprehensive strategic partnership that was established back in 2018 itself. And this is where we are seeing that actual conversion and upward trajectory of this partnership happening. Now at this very junction, when we know that Indonesia is very strategically situated, very strategically in an advantageous position, India would like to partner not just for the benefits of ourselves, but how we can deliver and strengthen. One of the statements that has been given by the Prime Minister is about we are not focusing on expansionism, we are focusing on development. Yes, it is a way to answer how Western powers have evolved in terms of partnership, but this also shows that we are looking towards mutual cooperative development as well. Now let us see that what we have signed in terms of mutual cooperative development and understand what are the major outcomes of this very visit. So the first major outcome has been in terms of defense cooperation, where we have signed an agreement from BrahMos supersonic missile, which will be a huge boost to our defense exports. It has been not just this. Astra Mk-1, which are beyond visual range air-to-air missiles, cooperation has been signed on that, and this shows that our defense exports are entering and marking their point, especially when we are talking about Southeast Asia. Apart from that, maritime security, this is where strategic importance of Indonesia comes in. We have extended our maritime safety and security MOU, because when we talk about the location, we discussed that how our islands are just 150 kilometers apart from Indonesia. This is where maritime cooperation of Indonesia is of huge significance, and we have a proper promise from Indonesia that they will join our Information Fusion Center of the Indian Ocean region. That will enhance our maritime domain awareness, maritime security, and the Coast Guard cooperation as well. Apart from that, we have a big win when we are looking at Sabang Port, because we have discussed this and signed the agreement of development of Sabang Port near Strait of Malacca, which gives India a significant presence. And this is where India is also trying to strengthen its presence in Indonesia to counter the string of pearls strategy and encirclement of India that China is doing through ports. Apart from that, this very Sabang Port will enhance the connectivity to Great Nicobar Transshipment Port. This will be a huge support for India in terms of logistics, ship repair, and marine tourism as well. Apart from that, a bigger thing has been addressed in terms of today's economy, that is critical minerals. We have talked about cooperation in nickel, rare earths, and steel. National Critical Mineral Research and Development Center, that has been mentioned, and key point that will be developed and contributed to. And there will be focus on diversification of supply chains beyond China, because as of now, when we are talking about critical minerals, China rules that part, not just production but also processing part of it. Apart from that, India and Indonesia have gone from the conventional cooperative sectors and expanded them into digital, educational, health related activities as well. For example, when we are looking at digital partnership, there has been conversation of integration of UPI with Indonesia's payment system. There will be cooperation between ONDC and Indonesia's open network. There have been multiple agreements that have been signed on telecom, on broadband, innovation, spectrum management, startup collaboration, technology transfer, and more. And when we are looking at education and healthcare, a big news has been that IIM Bangalore campus will be put up in Indonesia as well. There will be cooperation in pharmaceuticals and healthcare regulation, because when we are talking about these two very sectors, this is where India can perform in exports, but there is a lot of lag, or you can find barrier in terms of regulations and standard itself. Then we are also looking at wheat seed supply and sustainable agriculture initiative. So it is not just about capacity building in healthcare for Indonesia, but also being able to cater to the educational needs in the ASEAN region, and India marking its presence as a contributor, as a big contributor. Now, this is where India has also used cultural diplomacy to ensure that when Indonesia is looking towards partners, India stands out. And this has been done through the restoration project of the UNESCO World Heritage Site that we were talking in the start itself. And that particular site is Prambanan Temple. Now, this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is largest Hindu temple complex which is present in Indonesia, built back in 850 CE by Sanjaya dynasty, and this is a temple that has been dedicated to Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma. Now, this is where India has decided to contribute for the restoration. A letter of intent has already been signed. A joint conservation project has been launched, and PM Modi, our Prime Minister, will be revisiting Indonesia in 2029 when this will be inaugurated after the restoration. Now, this is a masterstroke because this shows that centuries old cultural heritage exists between India and Southeast Asia, and this is where India is cementing it further. And this clearly reinforces India's cultural diplomacy and also soft power. If you have to bring another angle, you can understand that this also highlights the influence of Ramayana and Hindu traditions that still exist in Indonesia, because when we are talking talking about this temple, this has explicit presence of Ramayana and also Mahabharat stone reliefs which are mentioned here. So we get to see that this is a living heritage which continues to function as an active Hindu temple. So this will directly enable India to find another connecting point with Indonesia which others might not. And that is why this visit has been about gains for India and Indonesia, because we are looking at expanding our role in ASEAN, strengthening our presence in Indo-Pacific maritime partnerships, and diversify our defense exports. You have to understand, this is for image, this is for national security, because China is also heavily focused on Indian Ocean region, and this is for actually facilitating our forex reserves. Apart from that, this shows that how we are not only self-reliant, we are the ones doing it all on our own. This will get us economic access to critical minerals, this will boost digital connectivity and enhance manufacturing partnerships as well. Apart from that, we are also into look that how we are actually able to deliver on the strategic partnership we have made. And this is also about how India is to deliver on this very strategic partnership at the same time. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. This was all from my side. Now I will be leaving you here with a prelims practice question. A very basic question, but something that can be asked because these places have been in news. Let me know the answer to this in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.